Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. We are starting off out at Saturn today with our very hopeful Enceladus lander that's going to make its like 50th of 2,000 gravity assists around Enceladus to try to slow itself down enough to actually capture an orbit. We don't have a lot of hope for this mission being successful. Uh, Thankfully, the contract for it has already expired. We've already paid the fine. This was a long time ago. So we're really just kind of operating as a test bed to see, how much I suck at gravity assist, and two, if we can find a better way to do this, which I think is just going to be lots of delta V, huge delta V requirements to just break directly into Enceladus orbit after capture at Saturn, and then go for landing. The landing itself should only be a couple of 100 meters per second, but we're really pushing the boundaries here, trying to find out exactly how low we could go on this with a periapsis set around 7 kilometers. We ended up scraping right about 2 kilometers off the deck before starting our ascent. Shutting our engine down, we put about 300 meters per second out the back that time. That will lower our orbit a little bit. Not really enough gravity here to kind of get the Oberth effect working well enough for really any reason whatsoever. So we could be doing these burns while not in the SOI, but we figured, hey, why not? Let's figure out how much we could push the boundaries here and decide exactly how low we can go. Maybe that couple of fractions of a meter per second uh, of what Oberth effect we are experiencing will be worth something on our 7th or 800 flyby of trying to get this thing into a lower orbit. So we're going to plot out a node and see how far ahead our next close encounter can be, and see about what kind of corrections are needed to do that. Looks like it's about 20 meters per second. So we'll set that and then return out to the launch pad where we are taking our newest payload up to our experimental vehicle in low Earth orbit. This is, of course, the the laboratory and the scientific payload that we prototyped out in the last episode. I think that was the last episode. We've got it all loaded into this SKS. We have a very terrified crew, very much not enjoying the ride here, and we've got the very familiar wiggles. And I was trying to be better about my screenshot game this time, so hopefully we'll have an actual thumbnail this episode. Watch me completely forget to do it when I go to upload this in like half an hour or something like that. But anyway, the way up was pretty much textbook, although there's booster sep down and away, looking good as always. And now we are just on our 3 RS-25 main engines that will push us the rest of the way to orbit. We did end up trying something new with this ascent in that we activated atmospheric autopilot for most of the ascent phase, which actually helped reduce those wiggles by a whole lot. We had a much more predictable ascent profile. It even made doing our belly roll a little bit easier, though we did wobble off of that relative inclination by quite a bit. This is our first mission to actually rendezvous with the first pod, which was the HAB module, which has no life support. We still won't have any life support on it, so it'll be a while before we can send a crew up to kind of test the initial systems involved with this new kind of, I don't know, specialty derived long range vehicle, or long term. It's basically a space station with maybe some engines on it at some point. We're still kind of prototyping a lot of things and trying to figure stuff out so that we can know exactly which direction we want to go with this thing, but we've got a lot of other logistical things that we want to test and make sure work before we start actually, sending it places. So expect to see this thing in low Earth orbit for quite a long time. So we've finally finished out our tail stand maneuver and are now pushing ourselves that last little bit the way to orbit. We actually had a pretty good opportunity to do a single pass flyby with this ascent, but I'm real bad at timing, so that's probably not going to be a thing. The EFT is deployed. I can't unlock the fuel tanks for the liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen to run the fuel cells, so we'll just make this brief, I guess. We have the battery reserves and the solar panels kick out enough to keep us operational for the think it's 11-day duration on our 3 Kerbal low Earth orbit contract, which is really the only contract we can do to fund this thing, at least until the Venus window. Then we'll retry that crude Venus flyby thing once again. I'm still kind of mad we failed that by less than 60 days, or was it 80 days? Yeah, well, we did goof off in Venus orbit for far too many years, so hopefully we can avoid that this time by having adequate supplies for the return leg already on station. So we've adjusted our orbit. We're going to adjust it again because we are actually almost synchronous. At least our approach to our target is not diminishing in any meaningful kind of way, so we're going to plot another maneuver out here to just kind of adjust things, increase our difference in orbit so that we can start to catch up to our target. And after several orbits with a very small difference, we actually have a good spot where we can make a rendezvous. And it's relatively easy to hit, something like 11.8 meters per second. And we'll start to bleed that off as quickly as we can, really. No, not really. We're going to use RCS to bleed it down very slowly because we're well ahead of the node, and then we'll try to clean it up. Again, just using RCS because why not? And yeah, hey, there you go. We're already within 500 meters, and now just touching up on which axis we should be on. We'll get it down to about 63 meters before plotting our intercept node, which again is about 11.6 meters per second. Nice and easy. Lots of fuel savings, as if we needed it. We're pretty under our mass limitations for this vehicle, and so we will have lots and lots of excess fuel that we're going to inevitably vent after making our deorbit burn. And there is the habitation module conveniently hidden behind the rendezvous planner window of Mech Jeb. So we will just make sure this one science experiment works, because I don't think it's one we've actually run in low Earth orbit a lot, before detaching our science laboratory module and the reactor core beneath it and starting to pilot it out to our habitation module. We're just going to dock them in line for the time being. Again, the final structure of this thing hasn't really been decided. So if we decide we want to change things around a little bit or alter the orientation, it has been designed in a modular fashion for a reason. If we end up being too long, we can rotate the hab module sideways and do it that way, or we can attach modules laterally if we think we can balance them out. I do really appreciate modularity in these sorts of things, especially if something breaks or something goes wrong, or you just decide you need to lose some tonnage. You can just, break off what you don't need, leave it behind, reassemble the rest of it, and move on with your day. Although you do pay that price in the mass cost of extra docking ports, but it seems we've got plenty of those already. So final approach on the docking hub there, and a single nudge, and boop, we're in. It is all completely docked, and I was worried there about power for a second, and then I remembered, oh yeah, we're carrying a reactor that's generating tons of electricity, but we don't want to leave our science uncollected, and I think we do actually have a contract for collect science in low Earth orbit, so we will just verify that all of our radiators are turned on. The last thing we need is this thing melting down and going critical in low Earth orbit. It would be a great fireworks display, but pretty bad for the reputation of the program. So with the science collected and the radiators verified, we'll go ahead and spend the extra time we need in orbit to hit the contract while just kind of admiring the view here, and then start to set ourselves up for approach at Florida. Now, once again, Kerbal Contracts has decided that although we're meeting all the requirements, we're not going to start the timer for the 11 days. So we're just going to run up the mission clock, 11 days, 8 hours, and then a few more so that we can try to put ourselves in line with Cape Canaveral for making our deorbit maneuver. Now, we are trying very, very, very hard to actually put some wheels down in Florida this time. Any of these times, really. One of these days I'm going to get it right, and then it'll never, ever happen again, which I think the only time we put an SKS down on the runway was an RTLS a very long time ago, but that's neither here nor there. So our deorbit maneuver completed. We're going to vent our excess fuel and then ballast some to the rear so we can keep our butt down, nose up, because I really don't want to give this crew yet another brown pants certification as far as spinning around and burning off some engines. Those engines are the most expensive part, and there's a little loop-de-loo. With all of our ballast still stuck at the back, it's still just a little too much. We should have kicked just a little bit forward, help keep the nose into the wind at least. There's our ablative thrusters. We may have had just a little too much angle through that little loop-de-loop, but I think that would be the reason for really the rest of this. So just had to make a quick check of our Alt F12 settings to make sure I didn't leave something on, because I was jumping from vehicle to vehicle, and often having infinite heat on will prevent that. So here is our actual approach, and while it looked like we were at good speed while crossing Mexico, we're going to come up about 1 kilometer per second shy of what we actually need to be. I thought we had the altitude and the glide slope to at least make it to the coastline of Florida. It looks like we're going to fall very well short of that. We're still right out in the middle of the Gulf, very much subsonic, and losing altitude very, very quickly. So we are definitely on our way down, and we are definitely in for a splashdown landing. Helicopters have been dispatched. Hopefully, SKS makes a pretty darn good yacht. If you can just manage to get it down gently enough. My problem here is that I focus too much on mitigating sink rate and not paying enough attention to speed. So a little bit of stall, and we're in the drink. No fatalities, but we did lose those engines again. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you all in the next one. So, till then, see you later.